Happy Friday! I hope everyone is enjoying this lovely beginning of the weekend. It is the 1st of May. Everyone ring in the corny, cheesy, predictable Justin Timberlake memes as they should be because they are fantastic. Guys, welcome on back to another episode of Bar Talk. We are at episode 30 tonight. I cannot believe it. I know you guys think I'm joking when I say this, but I genuinely can't believe it. Hello, Madison. Hi, guys. So really quick, we have 2 birthday shout outs I want to give today. One is to my cousin Carly. Carly, happy birthday. I love you very much, and I can't wait to really celebrate. And if you guys remember, one of my former guests was Leroyce Hawkins. We're supposed to be at Hooters, eating wings, drinking some Dom Perignon. It's not going to happen tonight. It's okay. It'll happen later, but Leroyce, happy birthday. What am I drinking tonight? I am drinking this in honor of our guest. I'm drinking some bourbon, okay? I'm drinking Jim Beam on the rocks. So I'd love to know what it is that you guys are drinking and where you're drinking from. So cheers. Cheers. Okay, so why am I drinking bourbon tonight? Let me explain. It goes with our next guest. Our next guest is Michael Eaves. He is a Kentucky native, so he is very familiar with bourbon. And you know him best as being on SportsCenter with ESPN. He has been in the industry for 25 years. He is a 5-time Emmy winner, and I couldn't be more thrilled to have him on. All right, so let me go ahead and get him on. Let's see what it is everyone is drinking tonight. We have some back porch tea, sweet tea, vodka, and lemonade. Hello, how are you?
What's up? How we doing?
I am so good. Thank you so much for coming on in. Tell me, what are you drinking with us this evening?
I have a glass of my favorite tequila.
Is that Casa Reposado?
No, it's Clase Azul.
Ooh, okay.
It's the Blanco. I like my tequila white. I'm not a huge añejo. I definitely don't like añejo. Reposado I can get by with every now and again, but I typically like my tequila to be white, clear, Blanco, whatever you want to call it. So I'm drinking a little Clase Azul tonight because tomorrow is the first Saturday in May, and that is traditionally when the Kentucky Derby is held, but it's not going to be held tomorrow. It's been postponed to the fall. So I'm going to drink plenty of bourbon tomorrow, so I figured I'd have a little tequila tonight.
So you're pacing yourself.
Or we'll see how this show goes.
Okay, well, cheers. Thank you so much for coming on in.
Cheers to that.
Okay, so before we kind of dive into like some of the super amazing and fun things that you've been able to do into your career, I want to go back to where it all began.
Sure.
White Plains, Kentucky. Population, 800 people according to the census 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. What was it like growing up there?
Country, as I describe it to people. I mean, it is literally the sticks. I mean, the closest fast food restaurant was like 20 minutes away. Grocery store, 20 minutes away. There are places you could get like, a little convenience store here or there, get food, but in terms of full grocery and the typical amenities you would associate with, living in the city, that was a drive. But I had a lot of land in the back of my house that my family owned and some adjoining property. So I spent a lot of time outside as a kid, whether it was on my bicycle, my go-kart, my motorcycle, my four-wheeler. We had a tractor that we had to use to cut part of the grass because we had so much property out there. I spent a lot of time outside, which is cool. I mean, hunting, fishing, I did all of that as a kid. I had a basketball court in my backyard. I played golf as a kid. I could practice golf in my backyard without having to go to a golf course to do that. So that was really cool. I was very active as a kid. But I realized very early that it's not where I wanted to live because I just didn't like. It was cool to be a kid, but as an adult, I'm like, I don't want to be in a place where it's about coal mining and farming. None of those appeal to me. And so I made my mind up very early that that's not a place that I would live the rest of my life. I love the fact that I grew up there in terms of how my childhood went, but as an adult, I knew it was not a place I'd want to stay.
Got you. How old were you when you drove your first like four-wheeler / motorcycle?
Let's see, I got my first motorcycle when I was in the 3rd grade. So what is that, 8?
Yeah, somewhere around
7, 8,
there.
right?
Yeah, 7, 8, yeah.
I got my go-kart when I was 7 and then second grade. The next year I got my motorcycle. I had that for a while. And then I didn't get a four-wheeler until high school. So I was probably, not junior high yet. So I was probably 12, 13 when I made the move to ATVs. And it was cool because, again, like I said, we had a lot of land in the backyard. Mm-hmm. And my dad actually made a little bit of a track that my friends and I could run, and we could do, races or whatever as a kid. So we started with the motorcycles and then moved up to, some people had three-wheelers, I had a four-wheeler. But, yeah, we did that all throughout my childhood, and especially, like, if it would snow and school would be out, we would all just hop on our four-wheelers and just go and hang out. And, like I said earlier, where I grew up, it was a heavy coal mining community. And there's two different types of coal mining, not to get too technical here, but there's strip mining, which is basically you just kind of go in and just layer off the soil till you get to the coal and strip it that way. And then there's underground mining, and that's where you actually dig a hole into a mountain and drive in and then dig the coal and bring it out, right? But because of those different types of coal mines, once they were closed and dormant, they became awesome places to ride motorcycles and four-wheelers. Now, they're also very dangerous, but the terrain and things of that nature, and that's what my friends and I did all the time, all summer long. Even after school, sometimes we would go and be gone for hours. And the crazy part is, and you could only do this in the South, or at least, small town like where I grew up, we would be on some of the normal streets in our motorcycles and four-wheelers without, no headlights, no brake lights. We were just out there, but that was common. But so were tractors. Like, people would be on tractors going down the highway to get to their next field or whatever, but it was that way. But technically, we weren't supposed to be out there, and there were several times as kids we had to run from the police because we're not supposed to be on the roads with those particular vehicles.
It sounds like there was never a dull moment.
Not really. The only dull moments really was when it was like really cold and it was at night. Right?
Gotcha.
I'm old enough to remember when we didn't have cable television. So when it's really cold and you can't go anywhere, you're stuck in the house with your parents and 3 channels, that was terrible. But if it was during the summer and weather was great, no, I never had a dull moment as a kid.
Jenna, who put us in touch, said hashtag don't do this at home, kids.
Yes. No, do not. Do not. I would not. No. It's, 1, you should never run from the police.
No.
2, you should not be on the road with an illegal motorized vehicle.
Yeah.
All of those things. I do not suggest trying that in 2020.
No, definitely not. So I know the military means a lot to you. Your dad was a staff sergeant in World War II, and you got to go back to kind of your hometown, Fort Campbell, for Veterans Day. And you had said this, which I thought was really cool. You said, visiting Fort Campbell served as yet another reminder of the overall depth and scope of our country's military and the commitment and passion of those who serve in the various branches of our armed forces. Those soldiers and their families give so much of themselves for our freedom and security, and for that I will be eternally grateful, as we should all be. How did having a dad in the military shape you?
It made me very punctual. That's first and foremost. My dad was never late for anything. He was always early for everything, and he got up early in the morning. And it was twofold, actually. It was definitely part of the military because it's funny. My dad enlisted in the Army, I believe it was a week before Pearl Harbor. So my dad was 52 years old when I was born. So he was more like a grandfather age when I was born. But he literally enlisted a week before Pearl Harbor, right? So he was young in the military and had that. And then when he got out of the military, the first thing he did, he went to work in the coal mines. And a coal mine has 3 shifts. And, you have the morning shift, the daytime shift, and the overnight shift. And he would often work the morning. So between the military and coal mining, my dad was up at 5 o'clock every morning pretty much his entire life. And so he tried to instill that in me. I hate getting up in the mornings unless I'm going to play golf, but I'm never late. I am never late. If I'm late, something happened, right? And so that definitely shaped me in terms of how I approach other people's time. I hate for my time to be wasted, so why would I waste your time by being late? But also from a discipline standpoint and a structure standpoint, he tried to add that to my life as well, and it helped because I played a lot of sports growing up. I started playing organized sports, I believe, before I attended first grade. So I think I was like kindergarten age, 5 years old when I played my first little Pee Wee baseball league. So, the structure of sports helps, but when you don't have something to go to, how are you then structuring the rest of your day as it relates to chores around the house, studying for your tests and classes in school, things of that nature? That's how the military aspect of what my dad did shaped me. Although, like, I've never been in the military. I'm not someone who's made out to be in the military because I can't take people yelling at me for no reason, especially just for the sake of yelling, because I know that's part. And my dad was a sergeant, so he told me the whole deal. Like, you have to yell at them sometimes for a specific purpose. That's not why you're yelling at them, which to me makes no sense. And he taught me about guns at a very young age. I mean, I had my first rifle when I was probably 10, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah, so shotguns, rifles, I'd been around them all my life, and he taught me gun safety and things of that nature. So there's not really a gun that I could encounter that I'd be intimidated by, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like, I definitely felt that military influence growing up as a kid.
I can imagine. I have a cousin who is in the military now. He's serving. So it's very eye-opening. And it's funny that you say the yelling part, because he had said that once. He's like, yeah, they just yelling. You just like learn to sit there. And I'm like, that's bizarre. That's so bizarre to me.
Yeah.
Like, I just can't.
Psychology. It's a weird thing as it relates to taking orders and being able to focus despite whatever the noise may be going on around you. So there's part of that aspect, and it is training. It may not feel like it at the time, but it's definitely training. And going back to Fort Campbell, which was about 40 minutes from my house probably growing up, and I went there often. My dad and I there's a golf course on base. We would go on post, as you say in the Army, not base. We would go and play golf there often. But just being immersed in that for a couple of days and a reminder of just how intense that training is and the discipline that's required and the commitment, because you're not drafted into the Army now, you enlist. And so to make that commitment for you and your family is a huge deal. And going there was a really good reminder. And I wish, honestly, everyone could make a trip to some type of military base post here in this country just to get a sense of that. Because oftentimes we talk about the military, we are the greatest military in the world, and da-da-da. We feel the sense of pride without having a direct connection to it. Some people use it for, political points and to sound smart on Facebook, things of that nature. But you should understand what these people go through before you start just throwing, we'll invade that country and take it over. Well, yeah, that's going to cost some human lives, and some people are going to not end up having parents because of that. It's way more personal, and you don't get that sense if you don't spend time around people who are enlisted or have been enlisted in some of our.
I'm back. That was weird. No, kind of to like go off what you said. Yeah, I think I didn't understand what they do until my cousin enlisted himself. He went to college. He said college wasn't for me. And then he went, and it was the first time anyone in my family had gone since my grandfather went to World War II. He was in the Navy. And so it was very much like, well, I think we were all scared because we didn't understand it. And there's a fear associated with it. And then once you ask those questions and you start to maybe open your mind to it a little bit, it's really enlightening, I'll say.
Yes. And again, if you have the opportunity to just spend some time with someone who's been enlisted, and if you can talk to someone who's served in combat, that's a different level. That's a whole different level of conversation that some of them are very willing to have. Granted, it's not necessarily if it's something that's overly traumatic for them, things of that nature, but you can learn a lot about something you didn't understand by just having a quick conversation.
Amen to that. So today is a special day. It's May 1st. It is Gigi Bryant's 14th birthday.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yep.
You covered the day that Kobe died, and you went on air and you came off air 5 hours later. And for people who understand that, it's crazy. And for people who maybe don't, like, guys, it's nuts to have to fill 5 hours of unplanned television and to give you factual update and information. You were kind of like, you had a connection or a relationship with Kobe because you covered the Lakers for years. You lived in LA. You understood the magnitude of what he meant to that city.
but you had said, like you weren't able to process any of it because you had to just give information. So it was probably later that night. What do you wish maybe people understood, like what you had to go through that day?
Like, let me say this. I've talked about this a lot since it happened, obviously. And this is going to sound a little, fuck it, I'll just say it. I don't want them to feel anything about me because that day wasn't about me. I had a job to do, and I tried to do that job as well as I could that day, and I think we pulled it off extremely well considering the circumstances. Because from the time I found out that it was a possibility that Kobe had died until the time I went on the air and actually gave the news, because I was the one who said Kobe Bryant has died in a helicopter crash outside of Los Angeles, it was a span of about 30 minutes, right? So from finding out to getting dressed, getting makeup, going to the studio, getting confirmation we can go with it, and then saying it live on television was only about 30 minutes. So there's no time to process any of that. At that point, you're literally in information finding mode. So I need to learn something so I can tell you, right?
Right.
And that's all you're focusing on in that regard. But that is my job. That's literally what I'm paid to do, is if there is a breaking news situation, to go out there and deliver the news, because it's a huge story and people are going to be tuning into us to find out what happened. And possibly Kobe Bryant's family was watching us to get more information on what was going on. So that's a huge responsibility. But, and I'll say this, I appreciate the kind words that people have said about my coverage that day, but, I don't want it. I don't want that praise because, 9 people died that day, right?
Yeah.
And is it one of the finer moments of my journalism career? Yes. And I wish it never happened, right? Like, that's the thing about that day. I wish it never happened. But I'm glad I was the one that was there that day to give the news because of what I knew about Kobe, what I knew about Los Angeles and the region and things of that nature. No one else, none of our other sports center anchors had that same connection. Could they have delivered the news as well as I did? Absolutely. Could they have given it the depth of perspective that I did? No. But I'm glad that I was there to do that, even though, as I said, I wish that it never, ever happened. Now, when you take on this particular career choice that I did, eventually, if you do it long enough, hopefully, that there's going to be an opportunity for you to have to deliver the news of the death of someone you know. This was the first time I've had to do that. I've given death news before of people that I was familiar with in terms of what they did, in sports and things of that nature, but I knew Kobe. We weren't friends, but we were cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have hung out socially, but we're not on the phone texting each other all the time, right? So I have a very tight definition of friends. Kobe and I were acquaintances. We were cool. If we saw each other, we're going to speak. Like he knew, my wife's name, stuff like that. But we're not like tight. He's like one of my boys, so I didn't want to give that impression. But again, it was someone that I knew, and that was a lot to process in the moment. But if it had to been Kobe, let's say it had been, I don't put a name on someone.
Anyone.
Let's say it was another active player in the NBA or someone who just recently retired and Hall of Fame caliber. I would have tried to give it the same level of accuracy and the proper tone that it deserved. It just happened to be a dude that I knew.
Yeah. What did you learn about yourself afterwards?
Nothing. Again, I'm not trying to sound like that dude, but nothing. Because I've done live news before in terms of breaking news, where I had to be on TV for a long time. So we did that show. Granted, I had help that day. I had a co-anchor with me, Zubin Mehenti, and we did the first 3 hours without a commercial break, which is ridiculous. You don't do that on television.
No.
But there had been a moment a couple of years ago when I was solo anchoring the 6 o'clock newscast, and Kyrie Irving was traded from the Cavs to the Celtics. And that news happened right as my hour show was ending. And then I did another 90 minutes nonstop without a commercial by myself, right?
Wow.
So clearly my experience in the past had set me up for anything to happen in live television. So in that moment, I never doubted myself or thought how we're going to do this. You just do it. You just keep churning forward. You're asking questions. You're getting new guests and things of that nature. You just go. There's not much time to think about it. I didn't think about it, honestly. There were maybe two moments. There was a moment where we took like a live press conference from some of the fire officials, I believe it was, in L.A., and when they confirmed the number of deaths on the helicopter and who was involved, that kind of, we kind of knew, but until you get the finality confirmation of certain things, you're never really prepared for that. So that kind of hit me in the heart that Colby, along with his daughter and all these other kids as well, were on the chopper that passed away. And then when I got home, right, because for those 5 hours, 5.5 hours, whatever it was, again, you're in work mode, and you get home, and now you're starting to respond to all the text messages and emails you've been getting from other people. And I poured a glass of bourbon, and I just sat here and just kind of finally allowed the enormity of everything to settle in. And that's when I got a little emotional, just because of there's nothing in his life that suggested that would be the way Kobe Bryant died, right? And for his daughter, who had such a promising future in basketball, for her to die at such a young age, and her teammates and all the other people in that chopper, just like, I mean, death is horrible the way it is, but when it's a tragic death, that kicks you in the heart as well. And eventually I was just like, I just sat at this very table I am right now, and I had, a couple glasses of bourbon before I could go to bed. It was a heavy thing to deal with, especially when you're not expecting to deal with it. Like, for example, I did a lot of live news coverage when Muhammad Ali passed, but we knew he was dying. Yeah. Like, we got tipped off. We knew we had a show planned for years, actually, because of the magnitude of what we're talking about. You plan certain obits, as we call it.
Right.
So I was ready for that to go and do several hours of live news, and also in Lowell at the funeral. But I didn't go to work that day thinking Kobe Bryant was going to die, right? Yeah. So that was a lot, just because of the way it happened.
So final question before we get into rapid fire. Basic journalism 101 is always who, what, when, where, why.
Correct.
I feel the world knows your who, your what, your when, and your where. What's your why?
In my career or my life?
In your life.
Well, this sounds like a cop-out. My why is my why not. Based on where I grew up, there should have been a life that was set in front of me based on my circumstances. I never wanted that life, nor would I accept it. And so my why is literally why not? In terms of, if you want to accomplish something in your life, why not? If you want to go somewhere, if you want to achieve something, why not? And if you always approach everything in your life going forward with that question, then you're going to feel more secure and confident in achieving that particular goal. I think too many people get caught up on why they can't do something as why they can't be the person to do it, right? I mean, if you go back and talk to some of the people I grew up with, I mean, they're stunned at what I've accomplished in my life. I'm not at all stunned. I'm very happy. I've been blessed and fortunate to achieve a lot of things, but I expected to do exactly what I'm doing. So I'm not shocked by it, because I was like, why not? Why can't I do it?
I love that. I will take a drink and a cheers to that.
What kind of bourbon are you drinking? I heard you drinking bourbon.
So I'm drinking Jim Beam. I normally like Makers, but I'm at my family's bar right now, Shinix. Okay. Yep. And it was what we had. So that's why I'm drinking that.
So I'm going to show you my favorite bourbon.
Ooh, please do.
It's called Basil Hayden's. This is my everyday bourbon.
Okay.
It's a little lighter than what you'll find with Makers and that Jim Beam you're drinking. I don't know why, but I just know I like it better. But like, I also have people, because they know I like bourbon, so people come to my house, they always bring me a bunch of bourbon. Prior to discovering Basil Hayden, which actually my wife turned me on to, and she's from California. She didn't drink bourbon anymore, but someone's heard about it. Woodford Reserve was
Love
the
Woodford,
previous
yes.
favorite. Now, this is the double oaked select, which I have not tried yet because someone sent it to me or brought it to the house a couple of months ago. I haven't had it yet. But then all of a sudden they'll come up with like this different version of Makers. It's 46. It's a little more select, or like
It's all
like
marketing.
a Clyde Mays bourbon, which I've never heard of before. But again, like I think 90% or 97% or something of the world's bourbon is made in Kentucky. Do you know what makes bourbon? Do you know what? Because
The
you know that
only
all
thing
bourbon
that
is
makes
whiskey,
bourbon,
but not all whiskey is
bourbon,
bourbon.
yes, the only thing that makes bourbon is that it is from Kentucky, and the only thing that makes Scotch is that it is from Scotland. That's it. The only thing that makes champagne, it is because it is from Champagne, France.
All right, so technically, you can make bourbon, and it doesn't have to be in Kentucky, okay? But technically, the way to make bourbon, the mash, right, the grains that are used to make it, has to be at least 51% corn. Okay?
Yeah.
51% corn. It has to be aged in new charred oak barrels. And there can't be any additives other than water. And that's really just to, change the proof a little bit, right? That's it.
Right.
There's no coloring. There's nothing. And so, like, sometimes so bourbon can be different colors, and it could all depend on how much was in your mash, the depth of the oak that you use for the barrels. That's where the different colors come from, how long you age it, things of that nature. But I say bourbon only comes from Kentucky because only the best bourbon comes from Kentucky, and it's all about the water source that we have in the state because it comes through limestone. It just filters different than if you try to get it here in like Connecticut or New York or whatever, or Japan. I mean, Japan, they make bourbons, but they're trash. They're not very good.
Absolutely.
My dad was a Scotch drinker, actually.
That is interesting.
Yeah,
that is very interesting.
Family drank bourbon, but he was a Scotch drinker. He used to drink J&B's.
I got it right over there.
You gotta have it. You can't have a pub and not have J&B Scotch in the bar. But it was like probably the first liquor I ever tasted as a kid was some of his leftover Scotch, right? My uncle used to drink Wild Turkey, so I would see that as well. And then my mom was a beer drinker primarily. But I remember as a kid, like 10 years old, I'm making drinks for my parents and their friends at the house.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's
I have
amazing.
a picture of it. I think I put it on Instagram several weeks ago that I found me just standing. All you see is like liquor bottles in front of me standing up waiting to make my next drink.
There you go. You got it. Okay, so we're going to do some rapid fire questions. Has to be the first thing that comes to your mind. Try not to hesitate, okay?
Okay.
All right. What is something people would be surprised to know about you?
I like NASCAR.
What's the one movie that you will watch no matter how many times you've seen it?
Coming to America.
Okay. Kindest thing a stranger has done for you?
A stranger. Wow, that's a tough one. That's a tough one, rapid fire. I don't know, maybe paid for a meal that I wasn't expecting in a restaurant? Yes. That's exactly right. Yes. That happened twice to me, actually. But I've paid it forward several times. Having dinner at a bar by myself, and there was an older couple that was sitting a few seats down, and they paid for my dinner for some reason. Never even spoke to me. They just paid my dinner. Maybe I looked broke that day. I don't know. I was like, they what? Yeah, they paid for your dinner. I'm like, all right, random.
Oh, God. Okay, so I had asked some people what questions they wanted to ask you, and this is from Terry Shinnick, who is my cousin. She said, has anyone you've interviewed made you nervous? If so, who?
No. And again, I want to sound like that guy.
It's okay.
I always envision myself doing the job that I have. And so when, like, the first time I would, interview, a Michael Jordan or a Kobe Bryant or a Derek Jeter, I'm like, yeah, I'm supposed to be the guy answering the question, number one. So I've never been intimidated in that regard. But also, I've also prided myself on my preparation. And if you are prepared for whatever you're doing, whether it's an interview with, someone famous, or a presentation for your job, or a seminar, or, you're giving a keynote at a graduation or something, if you're prepared, there's no reason to be nervous, right?
Very
They're
true.
all there to listen to you, and they have no idea what you're going to say. So you are literally in control of all of that, so why are you nervous?
Very true. Okay, odd or weird talent that you have.
Odd or weird talent. I can't do it right now, but I have really kind of juicy earlobes, and
Okay.
if I do them a certain way, they pop pretty loud.
Like,
Let me see if I can try it, but I don't know if you'll be able to hear it because I'm gonna take this out where the microphone is.
oh
Can you hear
yeah,
that?
no, I hear that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So I can do that pretty loud. Um,
you're a musician.
and here's the thing: I didn't even realize I could do it. Like it was just like as a kid, like you just do whatever. And I did it in front of someone once. They're like, "Dude, what did you do?" I'm like, I was like literally like scratching my ears. Like, "Dude, you can pop your ears." I'm like, "Yeah, I guess I
I
can
guess.
pop my ears."
I guess I can pop my ears. Okay, this is from Dylan Frey. He says, "What is the most impactful event you have covered?"
Muhammad Ali's funeral.
Okay.
So Muhammad Ali is from Louisville, right? And
Yes. Mm-hmm.
all of my father's siblings, my father was one of seven. All of his siblings um, migrated from where we grew up in southwest Kentucky to Louisville, right? So I spent a lot of time in Louisville as a kid, just going and visiting family every couple of months. And so I knew of Muhammad Ali my entire life because of his connection to Louisville and where he grew up. It's called the West End of Louisville, where primarily most of the black people in the city of Louisville lived. Is his house is right, not far from my uncle's house where we would stay, we would visit. And I remember driving by the house as a kid and my uncle telling me about him and things of that nature. And so I'd always had this, affinity for Muhammad Ali because he's from my home state. And he's also maybe one of the most famous people that's ever walked the face of the earth, right? I mean, you think of famous people throughout time, a lot of people around the world knew Muhammad Ali. And then
Right.
that basically, when he passed away, it felt like the entire world came to Louisville, right? To be there for that funeral and memorial services and to have heads of states from around the world and all these dignitaries and former presidents were there. That was a real big thing. And then, so the day of the large memorial service that was held at the basketball arena in Louisville, I was part of ESPN's live coverage, and I had the first leg of the processional with the hearse was going to drive through his old neighborhood, and I had the first leg of it. And so when the car came, they just said, "Eaves, go." And I just started talking as the car is coming towards me. You see the people start to react, and the car turns and drives away. I mean, that, 90 seconds probably, which is not much in television,
Mm-hmm.
everything felt like it was in slow motion. And just to see the people react and talk to the people before and after, just to see how much this man meant to so many people, that was very impactful.
Okay. I know you are a huge fan of Prince, so I gotta know,
Yes.
what's your favorite Prince song?
So earlier today,
I saw.
did you see?
I did. I caught the middle of it, and it seemed like you and Elle were doing this rap battle between MJ and Prince.
Yes, we
That's
went song. We
awesome.
did 10 songs, and I picked probably his 10 best songs, which may not necessarily be my 10 favorite songs. Right? I'm trying to win
Okay.
here.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but my favorite Prince song, my favorite album is definitely Sign of the Times. I also think it's his best album musically from beginning to
Mhm.
end, even though Purple Rain is the one that's got most of the acclaim, mostly due to the movie. It's so hard to pick one. It's a tie
Okay.
between If I Was Your Girlfriend and Adore, which are both on the Sign of the Time album.
Okay.
But I also
All right.
love the Ballad of Dorothy Parker and Starfish and Coffee, and those are the songs that you never hear about Prince, right? Or even like Girls and Boys and Mountains, which is on Parade. Um, it's really hard to pick my favorite Prince songs. I've listened to his music since I was like 10 years old. Like when Erotic City first came out, I remember it's amazing how music can put you in a certain place at a very specific time. My cousin in Louisville got married, and after the ceremony, it was like a family party with some of the younger people, and I was like 10, maybe 11 years old. Yeah, I think it was like 1982. And I remember that song, and I was like, Erotic City, what is that? And then from that point on, I was just all about Prince. And then, 1999 and Little Red Corvette and the Purple Rain and Sign of the Times. Yeah, I'm a huge Prince fan. I've seen him. I think I've seen him 7 times in
Wow.
concert, and I once saw him 3 times in a span of a week and a half. When I lived in LA, he did a set at the Forum. He did like 21 shows in a very short period of time in California, and I saw him 3 times at 3 different seats, and he had 3 different opening acts, and each show felt different, even though he did, any major artist like that is going to do their core songs, right?
Right.
But the songs he would do in and around them, they were different each night I saw him, which
Wow.
made me feel like I'm seeing a different show. But
Right.
yeah, I was devastated when he passed away.
Oh God. Okay. So this is kind of a 2-parter. Because you work for ESPN, have you seen all of the Last Dance episodes?
No.
You have not. Okay. So
Only a handful of people have.
okay. So how do you feel that this is going so far, The Last Dance?
Well, I think it's phenomenal. I think it's great. I think it's great that they were able to move it up. And it took a lot to move it up. People just think, oh, you got to just press play. No, that's not how it works at all. There was so much involved to get this thing moved up when they did. But it gives a lot of people a reminder like me who actually remember Michael Jordan playing in college of just what that era was like and just how big of a star he was and everything that went into that particular team and some of the drama relative to that last year in 1998, which kind of set the narrative to so much of what was accomplished, especially when you get to the final shot that Michael Jordan hit in his career with the Bulls. But I think for a younger generation, such as yourself, like it's an educational thing for you as well because you know the name Michael Jordan. You know that he's won 6 championships and maybe the greatest player of all time. But all that other stuff prior to you don't understand how he became a star. So I think for the present generation of sports fans to be able to get that perspective as you then turn and look at the stars of today, whether it be LeBron, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, what have you, it just it makes you a smarter sports fan if you have a greater sense of the history before it.
Very true. What is the best piece of advice someone has given you?
So my dad used to tell me this thing when I was a kid all the time. And he would say it so often I would get tired of hearing it. But then as I got older, I understand that it relates to so many more things as opposed to necessarily what he was just telling me when I was a kid. My dad always said you got to walk before you can run. And basically what it means is you have to do the things necessary to put you in a position for you to be successful, right? No one has been born and was able to just start running. Not even horses, right? They even struggle to stand up to get their bearings and their equilibrium before they can take off and run. And so many times people set a goal for themselves, they want to do something, and they just jump into it without the preparation prior to put them in a better position to be successful. So I would say that. You've got to walk before you can run.
Okay. Who should my next guest be?
Jamel Hill.
Oh, and
she drinks well, and she's from Detroit, and she's hysterical. So, yeah, you get Jamel on here, you'll forget I was even on your show.
Don't say that. That's terrible.
No, but it's real talk. I got no problem saying that. She's way more entertaining than I am. Jamel's awesome.
Oh,
Actually,
God.
she and I did one of the first IG lives I did once the pandemic kind of took us away from going outside. She and I did. We did one night of drunk stories. That's all we did.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. And she's got some good ones.
That's fun. Oh God. All right. I'll have to reach out to her and see if she'd be interested. Okay. Last 2 questions. What have you learned the most about yourself during this pandemic and quarantine?
That I like being outside. And it maybe goes back to my childhood. I was talking earlier, right? Like,
right.
I don't mind being alone, and I don't mind being cooped up with my wife. Like, I love my wife, but I also really just like my wife. Even if we weren't married, we would probably just be really good friends, right? So being around her constantly has not been an issue for us at all. So I enjoy
Mm-hmm.
that. But what I don't like, we've had bad weather here in New England throughout this whole thing, or at least inconsistent weather. It's been
Mm-hmm.
unseasonably cool. So the inability to even go outside and sit on my deck, smoke a cigar while I'm drinking a bourbon. Like, I haven't had that opportunity. I've only played golf for the first time yesterday, right? 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And I'm an avid golfer. I play a lot of golf. So that restriction to me has been greater than just the fact of not being able to gather with friends and be social. I like being outside, and I haven't been able to be out there.
Okay. And what is going to be the first thing you'll do when you can finally go outside and just live life
I'll throw
again?
a big-ass party. It's definitely a big-ass party. There's no question about that. Or it all depends on scheduling. It's either going to be a big-ass party or a trip somewhere where I will party while I'm there. Like, I mean, if they open up Miami, I'm going to Miami. Or if I have to take it international somewhere, that's fine. But I'm going to be enjoying my best life as soon as this thing
Love it.
allows me to.
Love it. Love it. Okay. If you can please raise your glass, and everyone who's watching, please raise your glass. We always end each one on a toast. And it goes back to your words, and it's why not?
There you go. Why not?
Why not? Cheers. All right, Michael, thank you so much for coming on. I had a lot of fun. Enjoy the rest of that tequila, and we will talk very soon, okay?
Sounds good. Take care.
All right, thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, guys, that was Michael Eaves. So much fun, so insightful. I hope you guys enjoyed that as much as I did. Guys, thank you again for tuning on in to another great episode. We will be back Monday. And it's going to be a full week Monday. So Monday all the way to definitely Friday, maybe Saturday. Still just working on some guests. Like I told you guys, I moved, so I'm still just trying to get some things sorted. So I want to take all day Saturday to just kind of like finalize those things. And then Sunday is obviously the last dance. And I don't want to do this. I want to sit down on the couch and watch the last dance and watch MJ. So everyone, enjoy this lovely Friday. Stay safe, drink responsible, wash your hands, and I will see you guys all on Monday. Okay, bye-bye, guys.